Christmas time is here. Happiness and cheer and
punishment.
In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 best Christmas horror movies to watch this holiday season. Let's get started, shall we? First up is Anna in the Apocalypse. Anna in the Apocalypse is centered around a group of teens who are fighting for survival during a zombie outbreak that happens on Christmas. This is a really sweet story with extremely likable characters, especially the main protagonist, and it has the catchiest songs you will ever hear. I dare you to watch this movie and not sing along with it. It's just a heartwarming movie, and don't let the musical and zombie aspect deter you, because I think they did a really unique spin on the zombie story and centered it around Christmas, which is perfect. Next up is Deadly Games, which is also known as Dial Code for Santa, Game Over, 3615 Code Paris Noël. This is a French Christmas horror movie about a young prodigy boy who attempts to contact Santa on Christmas, but instead he ends up connecting with a deranged man who pretends to be Santa and gets the boy's address. Santa Claus goes to this kid's house. It's a mansion, it's a sprawling mansion filled with tons of rooms, and he goes there to kill him. But unfortunately for this Santa, this little boy is not going down without a fight. He's intelligent, obviously, he's resourceful, and he has some pretty badass booby traps and stuff set for this killer Santa. This is essentially a darker version of Home Alone, and it's a blast. Next up is Christmas Evil. This 1980s horror centers around a toy worker who was traumatized from a Santa incident that happened in his childhood. It may have involved Santa having sex with his mom, and he carries this trauma into his adulthood, and one day something happens at his work and he basically has a mental breakdown and decides he's gonna go on a killing spree on Christmas. This is a really dark, slow burn kind of film, and it's actually quite sad when you watch it. It's just a character study of this poor guy who is struggling mentally, and he just wants to experience the joys and good of Christmas, and he is doing so in a different way. A much darker way. The lead actor, he gives an incredible performance, and fun fact, he's actually Fiona Apple's father in real life. So that's pretty cool. They look alike. Next up is Gremlins. Gremlins is a Christmas comedy horror about a young boy named Billy who receives an adorable and unique gift. It's an animal called Gizmo, and there are strict rules that you need to follow when you're taking care of Gizmo. You can't feed him after midnight, and he can't get wet, and unfortunately for Billy and their small town, the rules are unintentionally broken, and it unleashes these mischievous little creatures known as gremlins on the town. I love this film for so many reasons. It has that perfect small town America feel, and it's just both dark and cozy. It has some truly memorable moments, particularly a monologue about a Santa or a dad dressing as Santa and going down the chimney and getting stuck. That comes from Phoebe Cates' character. The creature effects, the gremlins, are incredible. It's Rick Baker, so you know they're top notch, and it's just a fun watch that is just filled with so much nostalgia for me. Next up is Rare Exports. Rare Exports starts on Christmas Eve in Finland. An archaeological dig unearths Santa. But he's not the holly jolly good Santa that we all know. He's pretty evil. He's more on the line of Krampus, and he's brought forth some elvish friends who were also evil and naked and old. So these elves are not cute. And just a fair warning, there's a lot of dick in this movie. There's a lot of dick and balls. And I have to warn you that because I forgot about that when I was showing it to my young niece one Christmas. And I was like, oh, yeah. The whole movie, they're just running around with their balls hanging out. But other than that, it's a magical good time. I don't know, maybe you like dick and balls, old dick and balls. And it might be even more enjoyable for you. So basically, the story centers around a young boy and his dad who inadvertently capture this Santa, and they must fend off his evil elves who've come to rescue him. This story is just so odd and unique and fun, and it's really heartwarming at times, especially the moments between the young son and father, and the creatures are just so cool. It just feels so inventive, an inventive take on the Santa story, and I highly recommend it. This Santa hat is hard to keep on and it's falling off, so just know I did this for you. And you better appreciate it. You better appreciate it. Next up is Silent Night, Deadly Night. So this story centers on a guy who, when he was a child, he witnesses his parents get brutally murdered by somebody dressed as Santa. And he's an orphan and he goes through a lot of trauma in his life while in the orphanage. And he grows up and he becomes a toy store Santa. And he just snaps one day and he decides to start killing people around Christmas. Now, this movie is bleak, it's dark, the kills are brutal, and it's not really gonna make you feel good to watch, but it's an iconic slasher. You have to watch it for Christmas if you can deal with it. Next up is Inside. Now, this is a French horror movie set on Christmas Eve. It's the night before this young woman's birth of her first child, and she is visited by a strange woman who has some pretty sinister intentions. She wants to cut that baby out of her. This movie is dark, it's violent, it's bleak, and it will have you on edge. You will not feel good watching this one, but you will be fully invested. It will prompt an extreme emotional response from you, and you will be rooting for this character to survive the night. But just beware, there's a lot of blood in this one. A lot of blood. Next up is Dead End. This is a horror comedy set on Christmas Eve, and it centers around a family who are traveling to their in-laws via car, and the father, who's played by Ray Wise, he decides to take a shortcut, and this is the worst decision of his life, because that shortcut places him on this strange-ass road that's filled with weird-ass people, ghosts, evil. It's just not a good road to be on, and they basically get stuck on this road and they can't get off. And I just love this one because it feels very trippy, and the standout for this film are the performances by Lin Shaye and Ray Wise. It's just filled with those awkward family dynamics that I love. Those are my favorite things about Christmas horror movies. It forces families who aren't necessarily on each other's good side or don't actually really like each other to be in one place, and you just see how that erupts and goes wrong. And this one is a fun little gem that I think you'll really enjoy. And next up is Krampus. This is a must-watch Christmas movie for me every year. It is from the director of Trick or Treat, Mike Dougherty, so it is filled with both cozy and scary holiday fun. It's about a family who find themselves victim to Krampus on Christmas, and we get to basically watch this family come together and overcome their differences, because this is another dysfunctional family story, and they have to work together to survive against Krampus and all the little presents that he has in store for them. This one is also centered around a massive snowstorm, so there's a lot of claustrophobia and isolation to this story. And the creature design of Krampus, he is so gorgeous and grotesque and just super cool to look at, and I love this one. I love the messages behind it, and it also is kind of a bleak story. It depends on how you interpret the ending, but I interpret the ending to be very bleak. But I love this movie. I think it's a blast. And finally, we have Black Christmas. This is a 1974 classic from Bob Clark, who is also the director of A Christmas Story, which is a much happier Christmas film. This is not that. This story centers around a sorority house that is being stalked by a crazed stranger. He starts with giving them profane phone calls, and then on Christmas Eve he starts killing them off one by one in pretty dark, unsettling ways. This one is a slow burn, but there is so much dread in this, and it's filled with girls who feel real, especially the main character, Jess. She's dealing with an unwanted pregnancy and some issues with her boyfriend. And we also have Margot Kidder's character, Barb, who's just so fun to watch. She's like this Spitfire who kind of has a drinking problem, and it's just the characters seeing all these different personalities come together. It's a joy to watch. So it's sad when they begin getting killed off one by one. I think this one has some really strong messages and themes along with just watching girls get killed. It's just an unsettling Christmas watch. This was the first horror slasher that predates John Carpenter's Halloween. It's just special. It's just special in that way, and I think this is a lot of people's favorite movie in general. I love it for Christmas. I also love the 2006 remake. I think I've grown to love it. It's much cheesier and campier, and it's a fun, unique take on it. I don't think it has the same feel and message as the original, but it's still a fun watch. And there you have it. Those are 10 of the best Christmas horror movies to watch this holiday season. Please let me know down below what your favorite Christmas horror movies are and if yours made the list. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I will catch you next time. Happy holidays.